Robert Omotunde, Chief Investment Officer of Afri Invest Asset Management, just joined the show again. Just joined us now, and I want to throw this question to Robert. With all that has been said so far by the gentlemen on the show this morning, either my guest in the studio and also the other two who has joined us virtually, I want to ask you now, with all the benefits, all the prospect and the potential that democracy has brought to us as a nation, taken away now from the military era, do you think that as a nation we've been able to take advantage of all of this for our own national and economic good?
Well, thank you so much once again for having me, iBrandTV. I would not say that we are fully taking advantage of all the opportunities that are available or that democracy offers since we transitioned in 1999. It's good that we are counting 24 years. There are some policies that we have gotten right, and there are some that have been, at best, damaging for the good of the country, I would say. Now, without sounding, I'm going to speak purely to the economics of our democracy since 1999. It seemed like we started on a right footing in 1999 when the then president, started implementing very good market policies. We were indebted to a number of countries and other organizations back then. We went as far as, seeking debt forgiveness. We got enlisted more or less into the international capital market again. Nigeria could access foreign exchange through borrowing from the international capital market. That was quite positive, I think as far 2006, 2007, it seemed like we were flying in terms of our credibility relative to how people would perceive the market. Of course, because we implemented good policies, it was then we had the pension reform that now the federal government is now benefiting from. We had several other, policy introduction, that we have introduced. But one, major thing that we have not been able to resolve is whether we want to conduct our affairs as a market economy, or whether we are not decided about that. And that, taking us, a lot of time to realize. You will notice that in 2015, when the past administration just came in, it seemed like the government enjoyed a lot of popularity of the people, that policy decisions that were, critical to the survival of the economy, if they were taken at that point in time, by now, Nigeria will not be where we are today. Sadly, we have wasted 8 years of our life, and I'm unapologetic about that. From an economic angle, this government has performed woefully in the last 8 years. We are just beginning to pick up ourselves, the pieces, I would say, of our life now that we are beginning to see policies that are directed towards, market development. If you look at the countries of the world, countries that are flying, countries that are developed, or that are so classified developed economies today, they are market economy. I know that we have a lot of argument around what capitalism brings, manipulations and some of those rent-seeking activities that comes with capitalism. Now, by the way, regulations can help us to cope, but to shy away from capitalism in the name of the rules, there is no economic system in the world today that is perfect. But by far, if a country, especially a country like Nigeria, we are developing from all intent and purposes, we are still, trying to grapple with basic activities of man. We have a country where majority of our population is living below the poverty line, by the poverty world, by World Poverty Clock. We are living below poverty line, and that poverty cannot reduce until we begin to see industries coming up. Industries will not come up if we do not have market-friendly policies. So if I analyze our situation over the last 24 years, I would say that we have done well in some instance in following the tenets and dictates of the market in conducting our affairs. But in recent time, we are falling so back also from the monetary policy even vis-a-vis fiscal policy. So when we look at it from an economic angle, we are looking at it from the point of view of governance, we are looking at it from the point of view of fiscal policy, we are looking at it from the point of view of monetary policy or investment policy, and of course trade policy. If you look at all of these, in terms of governance, that speaks basically to infrastructure, and I think the guests in the studio have delved into that. You know, human capital development, developing our people, education and health. Now, a nation that is not educated is not about to experience development. A nation that is losing the brightest of its population to other countries of the world, because we are exporting capital when we are not even sufficient in terms of capital. Now, constitutionalism, rule of law, these are things that help markets to develop, that when investors are looking at, you know, getting attracted into a country, they look at the aspect of governance from the perspective of constitutionalism and rule of law. I think we are just about to, you know, beginning to get it right. I understand that the current government may not enjoy the full popularity of the people in terms of how the elections went. But we have seen good policies. I am an economist. From an economic point of view, we have seen very positive policies that are coming in place. Number one, the removal of subsidy, you know, which, for instance, my friend, we have been crying about this since before 2015, that if we don't get rid of subsidy will get rid of Nigeria. Now we are at a point where subsidy payments, we don't even have sufficient revenue generated to pay for subsidies. And the argument about subsidy helping the poor, I think that has been debunked already, because subsidy is never even beneficial to the poor. When you look at the demographics and the, you know, the structure of income that people earn, when more than 50% of your population are living below $1.20 per day. People, I beg to say, do not have generators, they do not have cars. At best, they take transports, you know, from, you know, place to place. But most of them are even living in rural communities where farming is their preoccupation, and they would use their legs anywhere they want to go. Now, that is to say to us that if we get good policies in place and we make right policies, you know, the country can develop. And I can tell you today, from a market perspective, our Eurobonds market today, it has not happened in the last 1 year. We are experiencing the kind of rally that the market has not experienced. Today, it's a public holiday in Nigeria, but open. Nigerian instruments are highly priced today. You know, I mean, we should not delve into the mirage of bad policies that have, you know, come from the central bank in the last, from a monetary policy angle. It's also been a disaster in the last 9 years. You know, so market reads all of these things, and so when you see right policies in place, market rejoices, and that is the situation we are finding ourselves at this point in time. And I can go on and on as to how policies can help to change our narrative. Trade policy, I mean, at some point the last government shut down the border. It didn't make sense because Nigeria was part of the pact signing after Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. The president signed after in a month. The next month we shut down our borders. I mean, how irrational, you know, could we have been? You know, so these are things that I think we've seen this new government taking those good steps. You know, if we have the coalition of fiscal policy, monetary policy, trade policy, and investment policy working hand in hand, Nigeria will fly. We have been sleeping in the last 8 years. And I, as a Nigerian, am particularly glad that at least we seem to have, it's still early in the days, but I mean, in the first 1 month, analyzing the first 30 days of the new government, we have seen good policies from the perspective of the economy. And I think the market is happy about it. More policies to come that will help to reshape and put us on that pedestal of growth that we have lost in the last 8 years.
All right.